Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open on the desert planet of Lemuria, which has a similar environment to California. Driving along in his armored Cybertruck is a space ranger named Dogen who pulls over to take off his helmet and smolder into the horizon. This road warrior drives around hunting an intergalactic criminal while being stalked by a nomadic tribe called the One Eyes for their lack of a second. The first one we see tries to kill our hero from atop a flying motorbike, but he's a horrible shot because of the whole vision impairment. Dogen has plenty of time to dispatch this lone scout with a single laser bullet, then the Cyclops crashes into the canyon wall of convenience. Like any good police officer, Dogen gets out to scavenge from the corpse and finds a fancy red crystal that's gotta be worth a few space dollars. Nearby in the Arizona-looking part of the planet, a prospector named Alex is digging for crystals with his grumpy daughter. Dhyana says, "You're crazy, we're never going to find anything here," then pulls out a giant chunk of exactly what they've been looking for. Despite this thing looking like a regular piece of quartz you'd find on a hippie's dresser, it's actually worth a lot of money on this planet. Alex runs out of the cave to inform all of his friends, but he doesn't have any and instead runs into the cyborg amputee Baal. Metalhead orders one of his vision-impaired mercenaries to shatter the valuable crystal because they just got that new slow-motion camera. Baal disarms Alex with a laser fired from his right hand and then draws his telescopic left with the crane game attachment. Alex says he meant no harm when he was literally lining up a shot 2 seconds ago, so Baal sneezes a hallucinogenic booger onto his chest. This causes the prospector to go for a mental trip where he meets Baal's father Jared-Syn, who cuts his own hair. This space wizard is the target Dogen's hunting and touches another red crystal to Alex, causing it to glow as it absorbs the prospector's life. The father dies and returns to the real world while a giant thumb tells Baal that they'd better leave before the space fuzz arrive. When he gets there, Dogen's about to loot this dead man, I'm sure of it, but Dhyana leaps out with a gun, having been hiding in the cave and finally grown a pair. However, since the bad guys have already left and Dogen is an ally, he whips it out and asks if Dhyana has ever seen one this big before. She had bigger like 10 minutes ago, but never one that red, so takes Doge to a doctor to get a checkup for his inflamed crystal. First they bury Dad in a shallow grave, then visit Zax, but he says he hasn't seen anything like the red crystal before and this guy's contracted everything. He says that it feels alive in his hand, which is a good thing I suppose, then fires a few lasers at the crystal just for the fun of it. Only the retired police officer Rhodes knows where this thing came from, and since that's probably where Jared's hiding, Doge asks if he can leave the girl here. The last time Zax let a woman into his life, she left with half his crystals, so no, he may not, and Dhyana continues to tag along. Soon they get ambushed by the cycloptic mercenaries, but Dogen just drives on the right side of the road and now none of them can see him. He runs one guy into a cliff face and another off an edge, but the third Dhyana shoots once and the whole damn vehicle flips. None of this helps them from escaping as they're captured at Ballbag's roadblock and the disgusting cyborg shoots his gunk all over the hero's leg. There's a brief laser fight, but the nomads flee because Baal knows that Daddy will soon arrive once Dogen begins tripping his namesake. When he eventually dozes off, the Doge inside is visited by Jared, and Dhyana is also here, so I guess she got some cyborg splooge on her as well. Since it was a glancing blow, Jared isn't able to have any real effect on Dogen and he wakes up completely fine in Dhyana's lap. The movie skips their whole development until now these two are completely in love, so that when Dhyana gets teleported away, her boyfriend gets quite disappointed. Jared has abducted her with magic to show off his new action figure and plans to use Dhyana as bait, but the cop was coming here anyway. He then teleports a demonic superconductor right beside Doge, and this albino assassin isn't here to roast marshmallows. Fortunately, however, it moves like grandpa after a few nightcaps and only throws slaps of both the front and backhand variety. He could just walk away and he would be completely safe, but Doge shoots a water rock which leaks out all over Sparky, who dissolves like toilet paper. Speaking of the Wicked Witch of the Wasteland, Jared hands out stones to his cult and tells them to go forth like they're flying monkeys. He then shows off his giant crystal containing all the souls he's collected to Dhyana, and she's seen some big ones in her time, but nothing like this. I'm not even sure why this woman is still alive, but he tells her his villainous plan to take over the world and it keeps her alive, so whatever. Meanwhile, Dogen takes some time off to visit a Burning Man concert and search for the retired ranger who knows the way to the villain's secret cave. However, Rhodes spends all his time at the bar sitting crisscross on the floor and drinking away the memories of the Great Sand Wars. He refuses to help after all of that build-up, so Dogen leaves but comes across bullies beating up a defenseless One Eye. The Cyclopi aren't inherently evil, so Dogen protects him with a 2-versus-1 high noon style shootout. But our hero's quick draw isn't as good as he thinks it is, so after killing one thug, Doge gets his gun shot out of his hand because this was a silly idea. Fortunately, Rhodes comes to the rescue and reluctantly agrees to take us to the ruins of an ancient city where he once found some red crystals. They drive into a restricted zone, which explains why nobody else knows the location. Then get out and walk like 10 minutes and we're there. There's even signs with the same symbol as the crystal, so Dogen really didn't need a guide and comes across an ominous looking shrine. It takes all of about 2 seconds for Dogen to loot a crystal mask when suddenly sock puppet monsters emerge from the sand. They begin to drag the pair under and all hope seems lost, but Dogen shoots one and the rest of these cowards scatter. Our Tomb Raiders then get captured by a cycloptic patrol led by Captain Hurok, who is impressed they found the mask but still must execute them. Rhodes challenges the Cyclops to trial by combat, which means that Dogen must ritualistically knife fight this large man. Since Hurok has bad vision, the two are also tethered together and stuck in a tight space for the double whammy of favorable handicaps. Despite all of this, the cycloptic leader still loses and pulls his best terrified face, so I think Dogen lets him live simply out of pity. Hurok says he had our hero right where he wanted him but doesn't even like Jared anyway, so the traitor points the space cop in his boss's direction. On their way, Dogen and Rhodes have another run-in with Baal's hunting party when they drive straight through the middle of their camp. Rhodes fires from the passenger seat and the party try to chase them, but just like before, their shots are always slightly to the left and Doge runs them off the road. They then jump a roadblock and escape, but pull over to rest by some piles of gel, losing any lead they might have had. The curious hero puts on the mask and is transported to a place where shirts don't exist, and he's standing in front of a red tree. With an axe in his hand, the only logical thing to do is make this tree bleed, but none of this matters to the plot of the movie. Heck, the whole mask is pointless to the story and they waste so much time that Baal returns with his thugs who throw fidget spinners. Rhodes pushes Dogen out of the way and takes one to the head, so the hero shoots everybody around them except for the billed villain. It's probably because he knows how weak this cyborg is and simply rips off Baal's arm before hurling it at the screen. The loser runs all the way back to Daddy and cries that he underestimated the enemy's strength, but unless Dogen has powers that I don't know about, this guy's arm just fell off like Mr. Potato Head. Meanwhile, the hero leaves his wounded sidekick lying in the dirt and says he will avenge him despite the guy just needing some aspirin. He follows the trail of the hallucinogenic gloop all the way back to the Baal it came out of and walks right into their camp. Strutting straight up to the space wizard like he's the main character, our ballsy cop is vouched for by Hurok. He says the little dude in leather is much cooler than the big bad with a hairpiece, so all the one eyes switch sides. Baal punches the Cyclops from his blind spot but is simply pushed over by Dogen, so Jared does one of these ones. It didn't work, I guess, so he uses his giant crystal to shoot lasers, but our hero deflects them with the mask, and this is the whole point of it. Baal does the first useful thing he's done all movie and smashes it, but now the crystal doesn't even bother to shoot. It kinda just hangs this guy up to dry, and Baal gets shanked to death by Hurok like they're in a prison shower scene. The space wizard simply disappears, so Dogen gets on a skybike and we cut to them outside in the middle of a high-speed pursuit. The hero put on a helmet that impedes half his vision, but they both fly in a straight line with vehicles that go the same speed anyway. Fortunately, we don't have to wait around to see who has more fuel, and Jared opens a portal to another dimension filled with triangles and colorful lights. He disappears from the movie completely, as I guess they thought they would make a sequel because Hurok says he could reappear at any moment. Dogen then destroys the crystal like he should have in the beginning, then leaves with Dhyana on foot because none of the mutants could spare a vehicle. As they're walking away, Rhodes pulls up in the Cybertruck to pick up his new friend and the random babe under his arm that he's never seen before. And the movie ends.